Yo, what's good YouTube? Sam Crow here, aka Scoot, back with the Pokemon Battle Federation Season 7, week number 6, and we're taking on Adam. He's a new coach of the Pittsburgh Primarinas. He's taking over for the Washington Rotoms, aka Dragon Knight Master, whatever you want to call him. And he's going to be finishing the season out for him under the team name, the Pittsburgh Primarinas. That nice dope logo you saw on the thumbnail. And yeah, so Adam's a new battler, but he's a guy that's been watching the Pokemon Battle Federation since like season 2 or 3 or something like that. He's been wanting in for a long time, and now he's finally got his chance to play with us. So hopefully we can make his experience worth the wait, and hopefully he can show us what he's been wanting to show us. So yeah, it's a two-sided coin. All coins are two-sided, and yeah, so. He's got a team, as you can see on screen: Landorus, Therian, Victini, Mega Pidgeot, Mienshao, Vaporeon, Mesprit, Registeel, Rotom, Mo, Alolan Ninetales, Mandibuzz, and the Ambipom, where his Z-move users are Ambipom and Victini, not Landorus, Therian, coincidentally enough, or oddly enough, or strangely enough, I should say. I don't know about that. I feel like Victini doesn't need it, whereas Landorus with Z moves absolutely shines, and I don't think Victini really needs Z moves. Anyways, he has some threats: Mienshao, Ambipom, Alolan Ninetales, Victini, Landorus, Therian, and Mega Pidgeot, all very threatening. We do have some checks offensively and defensively to a lot of his Pokemon, but he has the same for us as well, and he's one of the few teams that has like multiple switch-ins for Mega Medicham, being things like Vaporeon into Mesprit or Landorus, Therian, and Victini. So like he can switch into the Vaporeon on the Ice Punch, switch back out into the Landorus on the Thunder Punch or High Jump Kick, and then switch out to the Victini on the Ice Punch, and now he's got a weakened Mega Medicham in front of him, with Victini being able to at least speed type and potentially even be Choice Scarf and just straight up knock me out or just force me out. So we do have some pretty cool mons versus him as well. We have Heatran, which kind of negates V-Creates and stuff like that. We have Zapdos, which negates No Guard Hurricanes from Mega Pidgeot, and we have like Tapu Fini and Palossand combined, excuse me, that's the word, I kind of combined my words there. Palossand and Tapu Fini combined as a Mienshao check, and Weavile and Mega Medicham just really can just click buttons versus his team and be satisfied. So that being said, our team is, as always, Tapu Fini, Weavile, Zapdos, Nidoqueen, Heatran, Serena, Haxorus, Mega Medicham, Licky, and the Palossand. And we're bringing this squad, as you can see right here. We got the Life Orb Weavile once again with knockoff. This time we're running Pickpocket over Pressure because it's likely that we could lose our item ourselves. So knockoff, Icicle Crash, Ice Shard, and Pursuit. 4 attacks, double dual stab. So nothing's safe. Nothing switching out safe. I can come in on the Victini after the V-Create, and even if he's Choice Scarf, I will still outspeed because of the speed drop from the V-Create, which is really, really dope in my opinion. I can knock him out with the Life Orb Pursuit. I can offensively check the Landers with the Ice Shard. Mega Pidgeot, same there. I also knock it out with the Icicle Crash, and after Stealth Rocks, I have a pretty high chance to knock it out with Life Orb Knockoff. Especially if I were adamant. Unfortunately, I do have to settle for the jolly nature this week. I just turned my lamp off. That's why the lighting just changed. I'm sure that was obvious. This thing also knocks out a Mesprit. Even if it's Colberry, it's doing at least half or so like that. So that's pretty dope to think about. I could have ran low kick or low sweep for the Registeel, but I really didn't feel the need, and I felt like Life Orb Knockoff is just doing quite a bit to my opponent, so I really didn't need any other coverage outside of what I've got so far. So that's the reasoning behind what I've got so far. Excuse me. And so next up we have Tapu Fini here, which is basically max defense to take on Landorus, Victini, Mienshao, and Ambipom to an extent. All those Pokemon are pretty much piling up on Tapu Fini, but I think Tapu Fini can carry the load and really put in the work that it needs to. It has Moonblast and Surf. It hits everything on its team for neutral damage at least. Surf hits Victini for super effective damage, which is super dope. And Moonblast hits Mandibuzz for super effective damage. I have Taunt there. I can prevent Stealth Rocks from a slow Landorus, from a slow Mesprit, Registeel. I can prevent Mandibuzz from roosting or taunting itself and things like that. And if rocks were to be put up on my side of the field, I can always defog them away with Tapu Fini, so that's pretty dope. And like it can come in on Vaporeon and not really fear a Scald Burn, thanks to the Misty Surge that I will be bringing up and setting the terrain every time I come in. And my opponent doesn't have a Tapu himself, so he doesn't have a terrain abuser or nothing like that, so no terrain war, just straight up Misty terrain as much as I want and as often as I want. So hopefully that can work out for us in our best interest and whatnot there. And I have enough Spadef. Like, naturally, I'm Spadef bulky enough to take hits from Victini, like Thunderbolt, Mega Pidgeots, Hurricanes, and whatnot, and things like that. So I'm not too worried about being almost, nearly max defense and whatnot. So, yeah, pretty happy about that, and hopefully Tapu Fini can show off for once. However, next we have Zapdos. Our boy Zapdos here, rocking the shiny Zapdos this week with our Leftovers ability. Nearly max Spadef with the Volt Switch, Hidden Power, Ice, Roost, and Tailwind. We are rocking the Tailwind this week because it's going to be our tech for Mega Medicham to come through in the end. So, what we want to happen is we want Landorus to be weakened, we want Mesprit gone, and we want Mandibuzz to be weakened. And we want to bring in Zapdos and click Tailwind as we sack ourselves off to something like Victini or Mega Pidgeot or Ambipom or anything like that. And then come in with Mega Medicham with 4 turns left and hopefully get 4 kills on each turn of Tailwind. That's the plan, as crazy as it sounds. So Volt Switch hits everything on his team and keeps me momentum outside of Landorus Therian, which Hidden Power Ice hits. And I don't really need coverage outside of that. Roost for longevity. I don't need defog since Tapu Fini has defog, so I was afforded to run the Tailwind tech here, and hopefully that can come into play. I'm really, really looking forward to that. And if it doesn't, at least I tried. And at least I can say I tried, So we got enough Spadef investment to take Mega Pidgeot's Hurricanes and any kind of normal type special attacks it might have as well. So not too big of a threat there. We can come in on Vaporeon pretty comfortably. I guess Scald Burns are an issue, but we force it out, we force switches, and we can Volt Switch, grab momentum, and then say he switches out to Registeel, we Volt Switch out into Mega Medicham. Now he has to pick something to come in on Mega Medicham. He brings in Mesprit. We Volt Switch out. Now we have Weavile in. Now Weavile Pursuit Traps or clicks Knockoff and gets rid of that thing. So all kinds of cool things there. It comes in on Mega Pidgeot infinitely, so I can always Volt Switch out on the Mega Pidgeot as well because he's more than likely going to switch, and I will grab momentum there as well. So that's pretty dope to think about. Takes hits from Registeel pretty comfortably, Rotom Mow pretty comfortably. Alolan Ninetales, it doesn't appreciate Blizzards or Ice Beams or anything like that, but it can handle the Fairy type attacks, and it can Volt Switch around and grab momentum if he's setting up something like the Aurora Bell. So Mandibuzz is also forced out, and like I mentioned, Vaporeon and Mega Pidgeot. Landorus Therian to an extent is forced out. Like he doesn't want to take a Hidden Power Ice, so he should switch out, in my opinion. And with Victini is not going to appreciate Discharge, so he more than likely, especially after a V-Crate, would like to switch out, in my opinion. And I could always grab momentum against things like that. So that's pretty noteworthy, in my opinion. So next up we have Heatran. This thing's here basically so that we don't get swept by like V-Crate spam. We got the Flash Fire ability, which means that when we get hit by a fire type attack, it does no damage, and it boosts our own fire type attacks. So we have Fire Blast here with Flash Cannon. That's our only 2 attacking moves. And then we have Toxic and Stealth Rock. Toxic's there for Vaporeon, Mesprit, Mandibuzz, things that can eat hits for days from my Heatran. And then Fire Blast and Flash Cannon are there for everything else outside of Victini. I can't really hit Victini hard, but if I can Toxicate and get my Stealth Rocks up, then I don't really have an issue. I can switch in on it a lot. I can Pursuit Trap it with Weavile. I can get rid of Victini pretty easily, in my opinion. So that's not too big of an issue. And then, like I mentioned, this is my Stealth Rocker. So, like, I want to guarantee Stealth Rock, so I do bring it on a Choice Scarfmon. And I'm afforded to run Modest. So Modest Fire Blast, especially if I get a Flash Fire boost, is going to be 2-hit KO and everything on his team outside of Vaporeon and Victini itself, which is a roll, especially after rocks. So that's pretty hot to think about. I think this thing could catch my opponent off guard. I don't think he would see Scarf Heatran coming this match. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense considering he has Vaporeon, potentially Scarf Mienshao and Scarf Landers Therian. But I don't think Scarf Mienshao and Scarf Landers make sense in this matchup. So I think that Scarf Heatran can actually do a lot of work back to my opponent, and I think that's going to be like a surprise factor, and it could work out in my favor big time. So that's pretty dope, and something else noteworthy that we should that I'm glad I expanded on at least a little bit. And the Modest Nature's extra damage output is insane compared to Timid, and I think that's noteworthy as well. Things like Rotom-Mow are dropping, Mandibuzz is 2-hit KO'd, Vaporeon actually takes quite a bit from Fire Blast. It's not going to be like 2 or 3 or 4-hit KO'd or anything like that, but it takes quite a bit where you wouldn't think it was a resist. And next up we have the glue to our team. Wish, Protect, Licky Licky, passing those wishes off to Heatran, passing them off to Zapdos and Tapu Fini, those mons that can't easily get health back or have to take a hit and then get health back or something like that. Can't just Wish Protect, can't click Protect and be safe for a turn and then get your health back. So, but this thing, Licky Licky here, this thing can do that. So this thing can do that. And I'm packing the Ice Beam and the Knockoff. So Ice Beam hits Landers Therian, Mega Pidgeot, Rotom-Mow, and Mandibuzz, where Knockoff hits Victini, it hits Vaporeon and Mienshao hard enough, and basically hits everything else hard enough that it's not hitting super effectively. But it's really solid against Victini, gets rid of that Choice Scarf potential, and Ice Beam is pretty much a 2-hit KO on any Landers Therian variant, potentially an Oko, more than likely. But yeah, this thing can take a +2 Earthquake from Landers Therian. It can take V-Create into V-Create from Victini. Don't quote me on that. If he's like Life Orb, no, scratch that. I don't think I can take V-Create into V-Create. But yeah, I can take quite a few hits from other things like Mega Pidgeot, Vaporeon, Metaprat, Registeel, Rotom-Mow, Alolan Ninetales, Mandibuzz, and the Ambipom. I take hits from them for days. Can get rid of their items, can click Ice Beam and Wish Protect Stall, not Stall, but pass wishes off to my other Pokemon and really take advantage of some of his more passive Pokemon, I do believe. Now these aren't facts, these are just things that I'm seeing from a team prep standpoint, and like before even seeing team preview and stuff like that. So that's noteworthy in my opinion. So we have our defensive core here. We have a defensive Fini, a defensive Licky Licky, and especially defensive Zapdos with a Choice Scarf Heatran and a Life Orb Weavile with 4 attacks. So now we have our Mega Medicham, which is a Fake Out variant with a Bullet Punch because Alolan Ninetales is a real threat. And Bullet Punch can pick off things like Mega Pidgeot, Mienshao if they're weakened enough. And Drain Punches and Headbutt literally runs through my opponent's team outside of Mesprit and Victini. So I don't pack Ice Punch for Landers Therian. I think that's pretty obvious that it's a pretty obvious bring. So I don't think he would actually stay in on my Mega Medicham. Unless he's like Choice Scarf Fly or something like that. But I do have Weavile to offensively check Landers Therian and Victini and other things that Mega Medicham can't hit. But outside of that, Drain Punch is doing quite a bit, so I've got enough attack investment to 2-hit KO Registeel 100% of the time. Mega Pidgeot's knocked out by Zen Headbutt if it switches in on Stealth Rocks or tries to switch in, period. Mandibuzz, it's not going to be 2-hit KO'd by Drain Punch ever unless he's like no bulk invested. But Drain Punch is getting me enough health back to where he's not scaring me at all, I should say. And I've got ways around Mandibuzz. Mesprat's the only real problem. It can come in repetitively on fake out. I need to get rid of Mesprat early, and if I can do that, I feel like Mega Medicham can put in the work, and then I don't really have much else to worry about after that. But that's pretty much the general concept behind my offense and whatnot. And I guess we can jump into the battle here. Oh, we're running max speed, allows us to outspeed Landorus Therian, Mandibuzz, and allows us to speed tie potentially with Victini as long as it's not a Choice Scarf variant. So that being said, we can now jump into the actual battle now and see what happens. So we'll be right back. Alright, so here we are with the replay, and my opponent chooses to bring the Mega Pidgeot, Victini, Vaporeon, Registeel, Rotom-Mow, and Mesprat. So no Landorus Therian, no Mienshao, no Alolan Ninetales, no Mandibuzz, no Ambipom. None of the huge threats I was really expecting, and a lot more defensive team, in my opinion, when I felt like an offensive bring for him was a lot better, in my opinion. Thankfully, we're still very prepared for this matchup, and we can still, despite him bringing a completely different team than we thought, we still have what I feel like is solid prep to beat this team. So he's going to lead off with his Mesprat. I'm going to lead off with my Tapu Fini. Reason being is because Registeel and Mesprat are his only rockers. So if he led with one of them, I wanted to prevent Stealth Rocks on my side at all cost, not just defogging them away. So I wanted to click Taunt here to prevent my opponent from clicking Stealth Rocks or anything like that. So he leads off with his Mesprat, and Heatran's my rocker, but I didn't feel like getting rocks up yet. They're not worth it yet. And I'm going to click Taunt here as he switches out into his Rotom-Mow. So now Rotom-Mow is in. I'm going to hard switch out into my Zapdos and see what he wants to go for here. He could go for Trick, he could go for Toxic, but he doubles out into his Mesprat. So I'm just going to Volt Switch out here and go into my Tapu Fini as my opponent clicks Calm Mind here. So here I'm actually terrified. I have a problem sometimes when my opponent's set up or something like that. I have a problem of sacking the wrong Pokemon or wanting to preserve whatever's in front of the mon that just set up. So I often would preserve Tapu Fini, switch out, take a lot of damage on something like Licky Licky or Zapdos, and then ultimately have to come back in with my Tapu Fini anyway and either lose it or take a lot of damage anyway. So no real point in doing that, and I'm trying to get out of that terrible habit. And I'm actually going to overcome and adapt to the situation here. And instead of sacking half my team to this, I'm just going to stay in. I'm going to I'm going to click Taunt here and prevent him from setting up any further. And he actually clicked Psychic, so not too big of an issue. And he's going to be able to go for it once again. I should have maybe clicked Surf there. I think Moonblast actually has higher damage output. So I'm actually faster than him, and I'm able to put him in range of Life Orb Weevil's knockoff, no matter if he's Cobra Berry or not. So I'm just going to go right into Weavile here. And my opponent may think he lives my knockoff here, but he doesn't know I'm Life Orb or Choice Band or what I may be. So thank goodness I am Life Orb, and I'm going to be able to click Knockoff here and be able to get the knockout on the Mesprat despite his Cobra Berry. And now he's going to be able to bring in his Victini. And this leads me to believe that he's a Choice Scarf variant. So I'm going to hard switch out into my Zapdos. And I was wanting to sack this thing off to the V-Create, but he actually goes for the Focus Blast, and I can just Volt Switch out into my Heatran. So now that I've got my Heatran on field, I can click Toxic and poison anything outside of Registeel. But on the off chance he goes into Registeel expecting my Toxic or something, or wants to set up his Stealth Rocks as well and doesn't see Registeel as a huge threat to my team, considering I have Heatran, Zapdos, and Mega Medicham, which all deal with it rather effectively, he could be more inclined to maybe just hard switch into his Registeel. So that being said, I'm not going to throw off a Toxic just yet. I'm going to throw off not throw off any attack. I'm just going to set up my Stealth Rocks. And then I'm going to hard switch out because no reason to stay in. And I can go out into Zapdos here as he goes for the U-turn. Fortunately for my opponent, I don't think I'm pressure Zapdos, so fortunately for my opponent, I'm not static, or he could have been in some real bad issues here. Unfortunately for me, he's going to be able to defog my rocks away as I Volt Switch out there. And he's going to go hard into his Vaporeon as I throw off the Toxic this time. So now I'm in a whole lot better position here, and I'm going to Hard Switch out into my Licky Licky. Thankfully, I get burned, so I don't have to worry about being poisoned anytime in the match now. And I can throw off a Wish here. I can go into Zapdos. I can go into Heatran. I can go into Mega Medicham. Ultimately, I threw off a knockoff to get rid of items, and I want to continue doing that. I can do that here once again as well. Or I can Hard Switch out into Heatran or Mega Medicham. I'm going to choose to go into Heatran in case he doubles out into Mega Pidgeot like he did. But then I started thinking, okay, Zapdos and Heatran are pretty obvious checks to Mega Pidgeot. So he's more than likely going to cover, or carry something for both. More than likely U-turn, Hurricane, Hidden Power Ground, and Toxic or Roost. And if he's got Toxic, that's what is there to hit Zapdos. And if he doesn't have Toxic and he has Roost, then he's bypassed on coverage for Zapdos and opted to go with Longevity and whatnot instead, so that he could get Stealth Rocks up, potentially click Hurricane, maybe get a Confusion or something like that. However, I'm going to scout for the Hidden Power Ground before I just stay in with my Heatran. And he actually reveals Hidden Power, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be Hidden Power Ground. Go out to my Zapdos here. He's forced to U-turn or Hard Switch, and I can just Volt Switch right out of there and not really have any drawbacks whatsoever from it. I can go hard into my Licky Licky. I've already revealed Knockoff, so he's likely going to switch out here to keep his item. And he's going to go out to the Mega Pidgeot here. And now what I can do is throw off a Wish. I can throw off a Protect. I can throw off an Ice Beam. But ultimately, what I decide to do here is I throw off a Wish because I can potentially pass it off to my Zapdos, or I can pass it off to my Weavile. Unfortunately, my opponent gets a huge hit off. Does a lot more than I expected to do. Does almost 60% and confuses me. So here I have to make a huge decision. Am I going to Hard Switch out into my Zapdos and keep my Licky Licky around, or am I going to risk the confusion hit and try to click Protect here and get my Wish back? And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to risk it, and it pays off. I get my Wish back, and now I can just click Ice Beam. I can Hard Switch out, and that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to Hard Switch out to Zapdos. No reason for me to take a Hurricane like that again. It does nothing to Zapdos. It bounces off, and I can just go back into this bad boy, force him to U-turn out, and I can just Volt Switch once again and regain momentum. And I can do this every turn for the rest of the game, really. I'm able to get my Stealth Rocks back up. I'm able to start throwing off super powerful Fire Blast. As you can see, it did 23% to Vaporeon, so that's pretty solid to me. I'm very satisfied with that. I'm able to go back into Licky Licky on his Wish. I can throw off my own Wish. I can click Ice Beam or Knockoff. Can get rid of his item, whatever I want to do here. I'm going to choose to just throw off a Wish. Obviously, it's the best play. Longevity, play for the long game, the end game, and stuff like that. It's most important. Here, I'm going to get rid of his item. He reveals to be Leftovers. I'm pretty sure he's already revealed that, but I knocked his item off now, so pretty happy about that. And Toxic is actually going to start to wear him down, to where now I'm going to stay in with Heatran and set up my Stealth Rocks. He's already poisoned, and I know I can live any one hit, so I'm just going to take the time to get up my Stealth Rock and then Hard Switch back out into Licky Licky on his Scald, because he is poisoned, and he's more than likely going to, well, not more than likely, but he's going to faint. Like, he can't win that game, Wish Protect there while you're poisoned. He's going to lose that game every time. And here, he goes back into his Mega Pidgeot and forces my Licky Licky out. And I go into my Zapdos once again. And this, like I mentioned, I brought a defensive Tapu Fini and a defensive Licky Licky. And I brought a specially defensive Zapdos. It checks this Mega Pidgeot so well. It checks Rotom as well, so that's great. I don't have to worry about these two Pokemon as long as I have Zapdos. But unfortunately, he confuses me here. He is going to still be forced to U-turn out because he doesn't want to risk me, snapping out of my confusion immediately. And he's going to go back into his Rotom, as I'm just going to Roost up here. I did hit myself once, and now Roost back up though. And he defogs the rocks away, helps his Mega Pidgeot, helps his Victini as well. And I'm just going to Hard Switch back into Heatran, knowing I can live any one hit and get my rocks back up. But unfortunately, he's going to hit me with the critical hit here. And I'm going to go into my Mega Pidgeot to Revenge Kill. and he's going to. I'm going to click Zen Headbutt there because it's gonna knock something out or gonna get some hefty damage on the Victini. He hard switches into his Mega Pidgeot, maybe predicting me to click Bulk Up or something weird. However, I just clicked the Zen Headbutt, and I told you in the team prep or something like that, I told you if Mega Pidgeot switches in on me on Stealth Rocks or on a Zen Headbutt, it's dropping. It's just dropping. It's dropping. It's dropping. It's dropping. So Mega Medicham picks up a kill there, knocks out the Mega Pidgeot. I'm just going to click the Drain Punch here as he reveals the Chople Berry and reveals Counter. But the Chople Berry made it to where Counter doesn't do enough back, so that brain didn't make sense to me. He hard switches out to Victini here as I'm going to switch out into my Zapdos here on the blue flare here. It's not able to knock me out. I can roost off the damage, or I can just Volt Switch out. He goes for another blue flare as I Volt Switch out. So here, the only thing that would have changed here is had he landed the blue flare on the Zapdos would be like 25% or below, and Mega Medicham would be in the same position to force out Victini or to knock it out. And if he stays in, he's going to be knocked out by the Fake Out. And if he switches out into the Registeel, it's going to be ultimately knocked out as well, because I can just click Fake Out here and then click the Drain Punch on the following turn. However, he only took 30% earlier, and that leads me to believe that I will only do about 60 to 63%, and he's at 65, so I don't want to be paralyzed. I don't want to take another counter either, so I hard switch out to my Licky and avoided that. I'm going to catch my Wish back here as well. I passed a Wish while Registeel was in and caught it with my Zapdos as he went into his Victini, and then I'm going to Volt Switch back out into my Mega Medicham, where Mega Medicham just clicks buttons and picks up a kill. That's how good Mega Medicham is. Bullet Punch may be able to knock out from this range, but I can't risk it just yet. I'm just going to sack off my Licky and then go into my Zapdos. It's my best play. However, my opponent's actually going to miss. This only matters in the sense of differential, because this is guaranteed at least a 1 or 2-0. However, that miss right there makes things really unfortunate for my opponent, because I would have been forced to go into my Mega Medicham on the following turn and click Fake Out to knock him out, and if he goes out into his Registeel, then it dies the following turn to Drain Punch, and then I sack something to Victini and then bring back in Mega Medicham to click the Fake Out and win anyway. So at the very minimum, it would have been a 2-0, probably minimum 3-0 with sacking. Okay, say he knocked my Licky out. I bring in Mega Medicham, I click Fake Out. He either dies or switches to Registeel. If Registeel takes the Fake Out into Drain Punch, it drops. And then Victini comes back in. I sack Zapdos, and then come back in with Mega Medicham, click Fake Out. So I'm guaranteed a 2-0 no matter what. But an unfortunate miss here is going to cost him some differential. And my Licky is burned here. I am going to just stay in and let, click, I think Knockoff or Wish, maybe Wish. Anyways, I'm just going to click Drain Punch here. I get a critical hit. It didn't matter because at this point, just getting my health back. Well, the Drain Punch puts him in Weavall's range anyway, but getting my health back, I'm pretty sure, takes me out of counter range anyway. So that's going to be a good game to Adam, coach of the Pittsburgh Primarinas. And yeah, it's a really close one. Well, not necessarily so close in terms of score, but in terms of, like, what's the word? I guess plays and mental preparation, really. That's the main things that we're really going here for both sides of the field. I feel like my opponent had some cool techs, and the Mesh Sprout was a real big scare at the beginning. But luckily we was able to play around it and come out with a nice 3-0 victory here. At the very least, it would have been a 2-0. So still happy with how the game turned out. Pretty happy that Mega Medicham was claiming a life every time it came in. And yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with the outcome, and I think that I can sleep well knowing that the hacks in this match didn't really matter. My opponent wasn't adamant about a restart or anything like that. I normally offer one if I see game-changing hacks. I didn't offer one in this instance because it didn't really matter at the time. But then after the game, I was reminded about differential. So if my opponent was to ever want to replay this to the point where he could get his 2-0 or that blue flare landed or whatever he wanted, then we could do that or something like that. But yeah, it wouldn't have changed the outcome of the battle. I would have still gotten the W, and we're going to be able to move on to 4-2 with a +7 differential after starting -2 with a -6 differential. So really hype about that, and we're back on a winning streak. Next up, we face the St. Louis Carbinks. Oh, first of all, I'm gonna say good game to Adam once again. Good luck the rest of the season. So now we have our eyes set on Andy, coach of the St. Louis Carbinks. He's a scary squad. He's currently 5-0. He hasn't played his Week 6 game yet, so we'll be looking forward to his Week 6 game. I think. Who does he play? I think he plays. Sky. No, it's not Sky. Who is it? No, it's Corey. But yeah, I was hot for the battle because Corey was 3-0, Andy was 3-0, and they were both coming up. But Corey actually has dropped a couple of games, so it's not as hype as it was. It's still hype to see my buddy's battle, but it's not as hype because it's not undefeated anymore. But we do have the undefeated Golden Rods of Straka still, and we have the undefeated St. Louis Carbinks still. So hopefully they play later on. Hopefully they stay undefeated. Well, I can't say that because I play Andy, dang it. So, yeah, Sky and Andy play in Week 9, and we will be, if they are undefeated, that will be one real hot battle. I think that'll be the first time we've had an 8-0 team facing an 8-0 team in PBF history. That would be super cool, super clean to see. But we're gonna have to beat Andy. We're gonna have to beat him. Like we got to get another W, and we gotta catch up to him and Sky. We got they got to catch some losses. We got to catch some more W's, and we got to get in that playoff race. Maybe catch a first round bye or something like that. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Let me know what you thought about the battle, the prep on both sides of the field. Let me know what you thought was the play of the game, the Pokemon of the game. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.